11. We've gathered here today to learn about this thing called Bridge Editor version 1. So we jump into the bridge, you get it installed, we hit new project, we put in our name, Bridge Guide version 1. Okay, but we also want to put in BP. Now, this is too long overall because your folder gets named the same thing, so you probably want to do something more like how about demo, or how about guide v1, like that. And then we need to come up with your namespace, and the namespace is going to be what's in front of everything you do. So a normal namespace for Minecraft is Minecraft. So everything you see in Minecraft is Minecraft colon skeleton, Minecraft colon whatever it's going to be. In this case, we're going to do something. This is your namespace. So for each project, you're going to have a different namespace. But for your development or your production company, you want to have an abbreviation for your project. So I do OLC for Outlandishly Crafted, and then whatever the abbreviation for the next part is. So this one might be just G1 for Guide 1 or something like that. You could do Bridge Guide 1. We could say this is Bridge GV1. Down here you can actually put in the whole thing, so we can say Bridge Guide version 1. And when I say version 1, I mean bridge editor. And so we probably should actually say it like this, because version 2 is about to release, so we need to make sure that we define it. And then you could put other stuff in here as well. This is just your description, so you could say like a date or something. But this is the most important one. It has to be lowercase. Don't do it over uppercase or you're going to have problems. Next, what version are you targeting? So if you're not doing experimental, if you're going to do marketplace, you're going to do normal gameplay, you definitely need to make sure that you're doing the right version number. I believe you probably want to be at 1.16.0, maybe 1.16.100. I'm pretty sure everything above that is almost all locked behind experimental gameplay. So typically I'm doing 1.16.0 right now. So a few things we're going to do really quick. We're going to have BP behind this one because this is the BP. This stays the same, and this stays the same. So I'm going to copy this so that I do it the same on the next screen, and I'll show you how that works. So we hit create. We have our project. We go to resource pack, and then we hit create again. The reason why I wanted to copy that is I wanted to be exactly the same. So I do RP, and to do that, you see me pasting from a list. This is Windows key V. If you don't have that enabled on Windows 10, just hold down Windows key on the keyboard and then hit the V button. Instead of Control V for paste, it's Windows key, and that's your history. That gives you the history of your paste data. So it makes it really nice to be able to make things look the same. So now we have a behavior pack, we have a resource pack, and we're really ready to go. One thing you need to know right off the bat about how Bridge does this and how development happens within Minecraft Bedrock Edition for this example is when you go into the main folder where you put your stuff, what you're probably used to seeing is a world folder, and you go into your world folder and you have a behavior pack in there and you have a resource pack in there, and that's correct if you aren't doing development on it. So if it's a release pack and it's something that you're actually sending out, or you downloaded an add-on from someone else that you're playing, that's correct. You should have the behavior pack and the resource pack inside your world. But when you're doing development, that causes a lot of problems, and so you don't want to have to keep copying your files into that world folder and managing it. So instead, what Bridge does and what the developers do is you put your pack inside the development behavior packs and inside the resource behavior packs. What that does is that means there's only one of them. Instead of having a duplicate of them for every world, which would be a nightmare to do development on in Bridge, I can use this one Dragonfire or this one Bridge guide or whatever, my Torchly Doomed, in any world I want. So I could have 10 worlds all using the same behavior pack, all using the same information. I can edit it in Bridge, and all of those 10 worlds auto update with that information. I don't have to copy files around. I don't have to do anything. It's just done. It's all just there. So if I want to right now, we haven't done anything other than create these two packs. I'm going to open my world up, or open my game up, and we'll just create a new world. Sorry, my freaking Minecraft loads slow. Welcome to the life of a developer. I've started and stopped Minecraft about 10,000 times this year, if that gives you an idea of how many times you're gonna open and close Minecraft. It's a bugger. Different reasons can cause the delay in Minecraft loading. Sometimes it can be your add-ins and your packs. Sometimes it can just be their updates. Sometimes it can be your system. This is a pretty fast system, and it doesn't matter. I have the same problem with the 3090. This system that I'm on is a Ryzen 9 3900, 32 gigs of RAM, NVMe drives, and a RTX 2070. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in, create a new world, and then in our behavior pack, we're going to jump in and activate this. Now, if we did everything right, which you saw is only like 3 or 4 clicks, we didn't really do anything. Bridge is doing it all for us. Your RP auto applies. So because these are properly connected, that's one troubleshooting step so that we know things are working properly. If we jump in here and we hit require, that means that anybody that plays with us will auto download both the behavior pack and the RP pack. Do keep in mind that they will not a behavior pack will not load onto a realm in most cases. It won't load. So we're gonna jump in. We haven't changed anything, so there's actually nothing that we can see. I'm just showing you this is the basic step one. We're in our world. We can switch over to creative mode, but I didn't enable it. So we bounce back to settings, game, and we turn on cheats. You're definitely gonna need creative mode to be able to test and do your development. So now we can do game mode C, and we're here. We have a world ready to go, and now we're going to add in our first entity. So let's jump back over. We're going to quit the game. You have to close the game to update any of the files for it. So keep that in mind. That's something that you have to do that cycle, because Minecraft doesn't load the new file changes until you do that. The next step right here, we're going to go to tools. We're going to do presets. And let's start off with something just really easy. How about a cow? Let's get us a cow? I don't know. What do you think? A bat, bees, blaze. So these are presets. What this is going to do is this is going to create all of the required files to make a cow. So we're just going to do a cow, right? And to know that we have, let's just really quick, let's look through. It made an entity file. It made a loot table. It made a spawn rule. It made our animations. It made the RP cow entity file. It actually gave us the model of the cow, which this is the correct way the Minecraft cow looks in its normal state. There is a animation setup file that rotates that to correctly center it or rotate it. Render controller, it created that. It added in the music and sound definitions. It also added in the definitions into our text file, which this is really nice because when you add in a few hundred entities, it becomes a real pain in the ass to go back after the fact and add in all of these things and make sure that you didn't miss anything, especially like exiting when they're writing and stuff like that. So that these are really helpful. It did all of this stuff for us in 2 clicks. Okay, so we don't have any way right now to know that this is a custom cow, that it's any different than any other cow. So we're going to change the code so that we can see that this isn't this, that we have a custom cow now. So one of the things we could do is we could come in here and we could say writable by player, which normally isn't allowed. The player can't normally write a cow. We're going to say how many seats, 1. We do have to define some of these things. We don't have to define all of them though. Right off the bat, you can see in the beauty of having bridge right here, where it just told me all of the different options of things that I could do. So now I can come in here and I can set up my positions. I can have my you list each of these seats available. So seat 0 has a maximum of 1 writer for this seat. It has a minimum count of 0. So if there's 0 writers available, then or if there's 0 current writers, then there's 1 writer allowed. If there's 1 writer already in, then there can't be a second one. So you're just saying, this helps you say if I had 5 seats, which seat do you fill first? And then we already have positioning data that they provided, so I just copied and pasted that in. You see I go back to 0. This is our array of options. And I go back and then lock and rotate. I don't care about those, but we could put those in. So now we're going to save it. Now we have a cow that's writable. Let's see if that works. I don't know if it will. I've never tried to make a writable cow before. Everything you do in indie development is just trial and error. We often see lots of people asking, lots of questions. Can I? How do I? But a lot of times what people don't realize is, you only know in indie development what you've done. So I give you a theory. By theory, the theory is you could do it. But until I do it, I don't actually know. So now let's call up our cow. We have the normal cow and Minecraft cow. Those are the same. And then we have our cow, which is outlandishly crafted bridge guide 1. So OLC BG1. That's our namespace. So we summon our cow. He looks correct. He's got AI. He's got animation. Everything's there. And I click on him, and now I'm on him. And now I'm riding the cow. I don't have any control of the cow because there is no logic put into the cow for me to control him. But that quickly I have a rideable cow. With bridge, that took us 10 clicks maybe. If we were doing this by hand, most people would spend hours just trying to get the pack set up because it's just so stupid to have to go through and figure all of that out. So now that we have this cow, the next thing that everybody asks is, well, I want to replace the geo with my Blockbench model. So we've got our cow file. We named him cow. We could have named him anything. We could come back and grab another, we don't have to use that one. We could even say blue cow, red cow, whatever we want. The presets allow you to just generate the whole thing. Not everything's in the presets. So say there's something that else you want. If you go to new file, all of the other stuff is here. I need a entity. I want a shield if it's there. Shields are as in the RP side. A bat. I want whatever those are. This will give you the entity file or the animation file or the controller, but it won't do all of it for you like the preset. It'll only give you this one thing. So if a lot of times you'll want, like, I'll come in here and I'll say, I need just a blank something, or I need a base of. So biome wise, I want to change the biomes for some area. I could come in and grab that biome base file, change its name, and then, or leave it this, make it the same name, and then edit that out to change the base game. So really quickly, you have everything here that you typically wouldn't have access to easily. You could go into the vanilla packs, but even there's stuff here that is hard to get out of the vanilla packs. You have access to the vanilla packs right here. So all of that stuff, if I want to reference, I mess up the cow, and I want to go reference the cow's file, then I can jump in here and go reference what was the cow's original writable. And I can actually copy this, jump back into my cow, and here's another cool one. I can even side by side it, right click it and do open side by side, and I can come over here, delete this out, paste in the other one, and have them side by side. If you want to duplicate this and make it something else, you can right click and do paste, and it will add copy to it. So then I could come in and make this whatever I want. Typically you do that for like a group. So like if I have up here this baby group or adult group, and I want to change this and I want to make a different version of this. So maybe I want to have adult cow huge, and I want to just scale him. So I would come in here, I could scale him by 2.0, and then that way I could add that in. And then to just so that you can connect the dots on that, if I come down here to on entity spawn, so when the entity spawns, we have this adult. All I would do to add that in is copy and paste that guy right there, and then make this the adult huge. And now in a random 1 out of 3rd chance, the adult huge would spawn with 2x scale. We save it, jump into the game. You can see how very quickly I'm doing development and creative. Not at one point have we talked about JSON validation. Not at one point have we talked about open brackets and closed brackets, and how does this have to be formatted, and how do you build an array, and how does this connect, and what component do I need, and what components are available. None of that. All we've talked about and all we've had to talk about is the fun stuff, the creative stuff. And that's what Bridge allows you to do. It allows you not to have to be a programmer and have all of that programmer garbage in your brain. It allows you to just simply become the game developer you want to be. So now that we've done that, let's do the next big step, which is getting our geo into the game. So right off the bat, we can go over to our cow file. Our cow file, and we can see in here the core things that matter. We've got a material set to cow. Typically for all your custom entities, you're gonna do a you're gonna do an alpha test, an entity alpha test, or you're gonna do an emissive, which would be for emissive alpha, which would be for glow. So if you want their eyes to glow, or you want headlights of a truck, whatever you want, that would be the concept to be there. So we go back, we go to here. It doesn't show us anything. It says there's nothing to give you under material. That typically means that it's asking for either default or a star, which means all. So in this case, we're going to say our default material is a entity alpha, which in alpha just means it's clear. If it's clear in Blockbench, then it's going to be clear here. Okay, next is our texture, our geo, and this name matters. This is the name when we go into Blockbench and we make a new model. The very first thing that it asks us right here is model identifier. That's what this is. You don't have to put the geometry in there. You just have cow. Okay, so cow is this name. Now, if we're going to do custom, then we'd say custom cow, or we'd say cow version 2, or whatever you want. In this case, let's do custom cow. Let's say custom cow version 0.1, and then I put in a date and by who made it. Right off the bat, you have to make a decision on box UV or per face UV. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do. Yeah, I don't know. We can go over that. We throw in our stuff. So now we have our basics, and let's see if cow is an option for the entity generator. Cow is an option for the entity generator, so we're going to use our base cow out of the generator. You can see that it's not set up how a traditional animation should be set up for an animal. The legs aren't connected to the body, the head's not connected to the body. So typically what I would do right here is I would, to cause you less heartburn later, I would instantly create a root bone. I would move all of these into the proper place. In most cases, this won't cause any problems with anything. It just depends on what it is. But it will sure make your life better when you go to animate these and try to do them how they should be. So now you've got a base cow, and we can also then pull in. This is one of the nice things about Bridge is it populated those animations already for us, the stock animations. So now I can pull in the stock animations right from the game. So here's the setup that it does. These are so dumb. I hate how it does all of this crap. This always is what confuses people to hell on these defaults. In this case, we don't even care. We could literally just delete all of these and make our own. But you can see like the baby has a bigger head and then they just scale them down. The body rotates when it goes in the game. This is because they did all this originally in code and not doing it in like Blockbench and a visual editor like we get to these days thanks to the Blockbench team. So here's our cow. Let's do something funky to show that we're modifying him. So we could go in and let's take out, let's take this guy out because we'll just take his body out. And then we have it. We're gonna save our project because that's best practices. So you need to have somewhere where you have all your projects and you're saving your assets. So this is our bridge guide v1 and then our date. We jump into it. We have our models. We have our entities. Entities. And then we've got our cow. And we're going to save our BB model here. You always want to save your BB model because it has information in it that may not actually be contained in the export. So it's better to keep that BB model. Okay, now we can export the actual Geo. So we go to our main folder. We go to resources, we jump in here, we jump into models, we jump into entity, and now we see we have cow. Now, the name of the file doesn't matter, the identifier matters. So we're not going to overwrite that. We'll keep the original cow. Now we can have both, and you can always see what that original one is here. So we named it cow. So we're going to name it custom cow without the geo. I don't know why I put that in there. Custom cow. And we got to export it again because we changed it. And this time we are going to overwrite that one. We save our project, and then we'll come back to the texture here in a second. So now we're here. We can refresh and go see that that file's here now. So now we see the cow. He doesn't have a texture applied because we haven't put any of this information into the actual file, so Bridge can't pull up that information. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say default geometry dot custom cow. So now all we did is use a preset, go into the file of the entity that the preset created for the RP, and put in our new geo name, and copy the geo, or export the geo into our development folder in the Minecraft core game folder, not the world folder. Okay, so now we got back to here. We're gonna open up our game, and all the cows have run off, so we're gonna summon a cow. Uh-oh, our cow's invisible, so we did something wrong. Now here's a good troubleshooting step. Because we have a shadow, we know that the problem's in the geo. So I didn't name it right, or I didn't put it in the right spot, or it conflicts or something. So see how custom cow here. Let's jump back here, and we can actually look it up in the file. So let's go reveal file and folder, and let's just make sure that I did it right. So copy this guy, and put him in this guy. That does look right. What else am I missing? It could be because I messed up the setup, but let's look and see. So default geo texture. We didn't change texture. We did change the material, but I don't think the material matters for the cow. Nothing in there is transparent anyways. So let's check it again and see. We closed the game and we reopened it. So your failure points are, oh, right there, failed to generate something. So here he is. Here's our new cow with no stomach, our stomachless cow. And you can see it updated all of them that I had spawned. Now, the normal cow is still there because this is a custom cow, right? So the normal Minecraft cow we didn't modify because we made our own. This is namespace Minecraft :cow, whereas the white one there is this guy. There's still cows, still have the same AI and everything. They're just now different. They will spawn around the world because we created a spawn file. So let's go back and look at what our log file said, because we did get a log error. So let's open up and go to logs, and logs is, so you're always gonna have this folder pinned because you have to always have this folder. You're just gonna go there all the time. If you go back to your local state, so 2 folders before that is logs, and I pin it on the side as well so that I have easy access to it. So we're gonna open it up. Oh, that's not the one. let's sort by date and time. Persona texture atlas generation failed. That's a not. It's not related to us. That's a player issue. I don't know why that's happening. That's probably a joyous Minecraft bug. Okay, so now we have our modified cow. The texture is the same. You're gonna do the same thing. So we'd say custom cow. Create a template. Say we want it to be 64, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter. So here's our custom cow. Here's our texture. We're gonna save it. Same thing, I suggest that you save your files in your project folder so that you have all of those assets saved and versioned. So I would version this because it's very easy to just mess up a file and not have it again. So now I have this versioned. I can save as again, and we can oh, it already threw us into our textures folder. So here's the original cow, and then we can save the custom cow file. So the only thing I need to know is this file name, which Bridge is going to actually do for us as well. So if we jump in, we're going to refresh, come in here, go to default, and then it actually gives us all of the available textures that we can access. So we can just hit custom cow, save all, open Minecraft again. You can see we've already closed and opened Minecraft like 10 times. You just got to get used to it. Having it in NVMe drive will help quite a bit, especially if as your projects get bigger. Having faster CPUs helps some, but at some point it just ends up being Minecraft is Minecraft. My suggestion is never close the world while you're loading it or loading the game, because you can get corruption and it can cause problems. So here we go. So now we have our new texture applied. It's just the generic bullshit texture from the template, but you can see it's different. The animations are there. From here, we would modify the animations. We would start changing the behavior of the cow more. So we could start adding whatever other information we wanted to do. One of the beauties about Bridge is you can come in and hit components, and then these are all of the available components that you can do at version 1.13. Now, if you come up here and you change it to 1.16, which is what you're at, then you'll see even more components. You'll see new stuff that's not available at those others, like send event. So what version you're targeting. Now, if you do 1.17 here, but the whole project is only targeting 1.16, then it's not gonna work. You can have issues. What Bridge is doing here is it's doing the conversions of all of this crap for those versions for you. So there's an underlining file underneath here that's doing things in a cache in the background. So one of the things that you want to be careful about is you don't want to just open up this guy and start editing this file. You see this version up here for Bridge, because there's things that Bridge is doing for you that make your life really easy. One of those examples is if I want to come down here and on entity spawn with one of these randoms, say this big one, I wanted to say also do. So right now we have an add. I could put in another one and say I want you to also execute this command for me. If I was going to do this regularly in code, I'd have to go create a animation controller, tie a skin ID to the animation controller, put the animation controller activated in here, listening for this event, and pass that on and do all this bullshit in multiple files. Whereas Bridge is doing all of that for me in the background and lets me just say, uh, instantly just do this, so that I can just put in and execute, and it's just gonna do it. What's really happening is Bridge is creating this file for you that has these states, and you're going to do this at other times because you want to know how to do this, but you don't need to do this for every event you want to fire. You don't need to be wasting time doing all of this, back end magic where Bridge just does it for you. Now, when you get into 1.16, 100 and above, which is in experimental mode, some of this isn't needed anymore. Minecraft has added in the commands to do it directly in the behavior file, which is wonderful. But if you're not using experimental mode and you're trying to develop for marketplace or for normal gameplay, you can't use those yet. So Bridge is really providing a massive feature and ability for you. Because of that, you need to keep this Bridge folder with this with your add-on during development, and after development. You want to keep this copy of your BP and your RP as source code. When you go to deploy the pack and give it to your friend or to put it up on the marketplace, you're going to do a duplication of all of this in its own pack, and then you're going to delete this Bridge file out of that what you send off. So in essence, you treat this as just source code. That this is what's translating these names and this stuff and making it easy to read. If you lose that, then this is still here, but it gives you the underneath skin IDs, and you'd have to open up this one to read what this is saying. Whereas when you have this, it does all this magic and shows you in one place what all of this is doing. And when these get really advanced and you have a whole bunch of interactions and a whole bunch of events and a whole bunch of stuff happening, it gets overwhelming really fast. And being able just to open this up and read logically what's happening is a huge benefit. So we can close that back down. We can jump back into Minecraft. I just put that as a fourth on the fourth random. So there's a 1 in 4 chance when you spawn a cow, it's just going to message everybody hello world instead of classifying the cow as an adult or a baby. I don't know what that's going to do to the actual cow. It might just disable the cow and he might just sit there, so who knows. But beyond the point, it shows you. So we just keep doing them until we get. And the randomizer in here isn't great, so you're definitely not going to get stuff 1 in 4. Unless I did it wrong, of course, which is always an option, So what I normally do would say at all message hello world. So we verify it works, and then I do control all copy, control A, and then control C for copy all. So let's come back in here. Let's look at our command message world hello. I paste it in. That looks right, other than it's upper lowercase now. I did add another sequence in. So let's change this back to just going right to execute instead of a second sequence. You can see there's lots of different ways you could work these, and you can put filters in, you can do all kinds of crazy crap. Okay, so, the weights. I didn't weight it at all. So let's do this a different way so that we're not even dealing with that. Instead, let's do it like this. Let's say delete, and let's just create a new one. So we'll create our own event. So we're going to do OLC BG1 say my name, cow. And we could probably even say event after it, just so that it's very clear that this is an event. And then we can come down to execute, command, and your name is CyberX. Okay, so we save. Now, we can just do this by command. If you didn't want to just do this by command, then what you'd do is you'd say, and let's make sure there's not one, so there's no interacts already in here. So we'd say interact. So when the player, or anyone, but no one else can interact, right? So technically just the player interacts, say interact on interact. We fire an event, and the event we're going to fire is there. The target is ourselves. And we don't even need to put a filter in. We could put a filter in, so we could say all of test for equipment has equipment. Who has equipment? Other. What is the equipment? Air. Minecraft air. Which means there's nothing. Which I don't even think you have to do either. But you could exclude, or you could exclude stuff. So you could say not something. So let's see if that does it. So we're gonna say on event, this event, when we interact with nothing in our hands, we're gonna then fire this event. This event's gonna fire a command. The command's gonna say message at everybody. Your name is CyberX. If we had a really complex set of things that we wanted to do, we could fire a function right there and have like a list of things inside the function. There's a whole bunch of options. That's really where the development comes in play. Ooh, it doesn't like something that we did on interact. So it just told us there in our log. And you have to turn your logs on, so keep that in mind. Okay, so let's spawn a whole bunch of them. And you can see he's not interacting. If we do the entity event on him, then we can say so all of them said my name that were nearby because I executed on all of them. So I could go back and say execute on only cows within 5 blocks, and so there's one cow within 5 blocks. Okay, so that one cow says he fires off the event, so now we know the event works properly, but we did get an error on our interaction. So let's jump to our log file. Your log file is your best friend. Let's make sure the log file is sorted by date, so you get the most recent one. It says on interact unknown scheme allowed type nothing. So one of our let's go right, instead of doing an array right there, let's go right to fire on ourselves, right to it, and then we do all of test for equipment. This time let's do a test for a specific thing. So let's have Apple. Now here's really cool. This is a really nice option. So hold on, domain is hand. Okay, so here's a really cool thing. We have this. I don't want to use an apple, so I'm going to come up here. I'm going to hit preset. I'm going to go to food, and I'm going to say horn. So it went through and created me an item and did all the work, put everything in to create this item called horn. So right away I hit refresh, I can come in here to value and put in horn, and it's all ready to go. 2 clicks and I got another item ready to be interacted with. And then when I save this, now we can come back and test it again. If I was doing an item by code like that, it's a bugger. You have to go through 4 or 5 files to put all that crap in, whereas I just did it in one thing. And then all I have to really do is swap out the image. It gives you a temporary blue apple image. So we can say give ourselves a horn. Here's our horn now. We walk up and we, first off, let's kill all of them because they don't have the interact in them. So we have to respawn them. So now he has the interact code. Is that going to work? Nope, he still doesn't like that. Okay. So let's go back and see what we're missing. So we've got our cow. We've got on interact. Say my name event. Target filter. We have the horn in our hands. Test 4 has equipment. What am I missing? Let's see. Faults. Cooldown time. You don't have to have cooldown time. Hurt item. 0. Add items. Particle start. Spawn entities. Spawn items. Swing. It's so nice to be able to see all these. You get so many ideas because you're instantly like, oh man, let's spawn another cow when I do it. Oh, let's spawn you know, it's like let's spawn chickens. There's so many things you can quickly come up with. Okay, so I'm still missing something right here. Let's try it again. This is where the trial and error comes in of just looking through the code. You can also, right here, we know it's interact, right? So we can click this guy, right click and click him. He's going to pull up the website, and if they have it defined, then he's going to tell me what all the definitions are. So right here I can see on interact, blah, 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 spawn entities, swing, what all of these things do, which makes it really nice just to be able to click and grab a definition. Okay, let's see what this does. He still doesn't seem to be detecting. Spawn a new one. Make sure we got updated code. Still no. So let's go back. Feels like I don't have my filter right, is what I'm guessing. I swear it's in an array like I had it before. Okay, so let's go back and look at that filter. We can start by turning the filter off. So this should now be any interact without any filter being applied. The key is that we've got these game loops going around in circles, and we need to be able to troubleshoot each step. So we put in 3 steps to start. We had a problem. We verified that the end step's working, so now we know it's the interaction. The only other thing in the steps is that filter. So there's interact, filter, event. So we turned off the filter, and now we'll see if the interact will work directly. So will just interact work? And it doesn't seem to be. Which makes me wonder on the cow that maybe either there's already an interact applied that I just didn't see before. Yep, it's right here. So because we had 2 interacts being applied, only one of them was actually being used. So all I have to do is come up here, cut this interact out, put it into this one because this is the adult, rename it. I wouldn't have to rename it if I did Control V, it would have auto done that. And then I delete this guy. So right there we troubleshooted. Now we're going to make sure adult gets loaded. Do keep in mind that we duplicated this guy for the big one, so we'd have to come down here and we have to do it again here. So now we have both of these in. However, if you see, milk is already being used. There's already a filter in here for has milk. So we have a problem. Either we need to move this one up first, and it's gonna actually bypass this, or we have this one here, but see, this says all. So we need to still have some type of filter. We can just grab this filter and put it in here. That's kind of the nice thing about having all of the stuff in here. And then we can say value is back to our horn. So has equipment, hand, other, horn. The player doesn't matter. I mean, no one else is going to interact with it, but they put that in there to make sure. Okay, so now we have same problem. We need to add this filter down to this interact, because we're doing the same things here. Horn, horn. So we have two interact. The only reason is we have adult and we have adult huge, and those are being randomly picked here. So 95, 95, 5. And that doesn't add up to 100. You can, you could say 45, 40 if you wanted, but it is going to figure out. It doesn't have to add to 100. It's just going to do the math based on whatever it is. So now we've troubleshooted, hey, why didn't interact work? Okay, there was already another interact in the component group that was already being applied to the cow. Now, if it was a baby, then interact would have worked because the babies didn't have an interact one. So that would have been a weird situation where we would run around and it would work for a baby, but it wouldn't work for an adult. Okay, so now we have an interact on the adult. When we walk up to him, he spawns a cow and a chicken, and he says our name in an event. You can see how quickly this is powerful to do anything you want, because he could also, from right there, he could call an event on another entity. Because you can do, a command here, you can pretty much do any command. So you could do event entity and call it on the player. So now you could have the player, when he interacts, do something. You could do play animation, and you could have you interact with the cow and the player dances. Pretty much right here, you have the ability to make the interaction part of your entities do whatever you want. So we've taken our cow, we deleted it, we modified him, we did a different texture from Blockbench, we put him into our bridge files. We can see that all of our bridge information is inside the development behavior pack and the development resource pack. They're not inside the world folder. So if you go in the world folder, there's nothing in there. So if I package this up by hand and I just copy this and send it to my friend, they're just going to have the world without any of this. If I want to package this and send it to somebody, then I'm going to make a duplicate of the world. I'm going to go into these and I'm going to take my bridge files, and there is a package option. I typically do these myself. So I'd come in here, I'd come in here, I'd come in here, and I would move or copy this guy over into the world folder. And then once you've done that in the world folder, you would delete the bridge file, this bridge folder. That's just that source data stuff. Now you want to keep that in your original and back this up regularly so that you always have that breakdown. As things get more complex, you're really going to want to have that information. It's not critical, you can always do without it, but it sure is nice to have it. So this is bridge one. We've gone through all of the steps of making your base world, using a preset to get started. There's also NPCs in here. There's presets for potions. There's presets for ores. There's presets for food, dolphins, fish, blocks. Anything that you need to get started typically is ready to go, and then you develop out from there. You've seen that we have the behavior pack, RP pack, reference data, vanilla data, all here that you can go easily grab. There's tons of great information that you can just get by clicking these files, pulling up the vanilla stuff, copying out the code snippet, and then you can just paste it right into your live data, your live files. So it makes it very functional and easy to just manage everything right here in a few clicks to get going. So that's our guide for the day. If you have any questions, I am CyberAxe with Outlandishly Crafted. As always, we're looking for projects to do. So if you're looking for game to be made by a developer, I'm available to take on full projects. We just wrapped up Dragonfire 2 and waiting for it to hit the marketplace. And so we're looking for what's the next project we're going to work on. We have some in-house projects. If you're a investor or funder or would like to jump in on one of our in-house projects and help us out, that would be awesome as well. So if you have any questions, check us out at outlandishlycrafted.com. Again, I'm CyberAxe. If you'd like support or help, I spend a lot of my time in the Blockbench forums on Discord, in the Bedrock support side of things. I typically only do Bedrock stuff. So if you're looking for help from me, that's the best place to find me and get free open area support. If you'd like to hire me, hit me up at jb@don'tpanic.biz or cyberaxe@outlandishlycrafted.com. You rock! Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been a guide for Bridge Editor version 1 by Outlandishly Crafted. Thank you.